Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about what Amber Heard's attachment style or love style is. And for those of you who are not already familiar with this channel or with attachment styles in general, you can think of your attachment style as essentially your love style, the style in which you love. Now, we all have an attachment style, every single one of us. There are four main types. There's the secure type, which is the really healthy type. And then the majority of individuals often, especially nowadays, tend to be more insecurely attached. And this can be because they're anxious preoccupied, which is that needy type, dismissive avoidant, which is the type that really needs a lot of space and often fears commitment, or the fearful avoidant, which has both the anxious and dismissive side, often swings hot and cold, but also is characterized by having a lot of sort of distrust, wounds, and suspicion. So I want to go through today and talk about what Amber Heard's attachment style or love style is, according to my opinion. Of course, this is no sort of diagnosis or anything of that sort, and I don't know Amber Heard personally. And I also want to make a quick couple of disclaimers about this, and then I'm going to take you through what I think her attachment style is and why. So I'm going to go through a 10-second sort of synopsis here. I think first and foremost, it's important before I dive into this topic to share that she was obviously found guilty. It was obviously an extensive trial that took place. And personally, I watched a portion of it. I was very interested in it. I watched a large portion of what went on. And just honestly, I personally leaned in the direction of Johnny Depp. I personally was favoring him throughout the trial, if I'm just being straightforward. And this was because of different facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, shallowness in her demeanor and expression. I mean, I see these things in people and have had, about a decade or so of working with people and really paying attention to these things. However, I just want to be really clear that I don't know what happens behind closed doors, and it would be ignorant to pretend that I do. And I wasn't a part of the trial. I wasn't there for every single thing that took place. But I'm going to take the opportunity to say, I don't condone abuse at all. I don't like what I believe that Amber Heard most likely did. And I'm definitely not defending her. But I also want to say, even if all of this was absolutely true, as she was found to sort of be guilty in the trial, I think that at the same time, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good to be bashing somebody and to be beating them up and giving them a hard time. I think it's okay to voice your opinions and express what you felt and the injustice that you believe might have taken place. But she was a little girl once too, right? Who probably was really traumatized herself first, which would have led to her having such dysregulated nervous system issues, such, core wounds and fears and painful subconscious programming that's how she knows how to relate. So I'm not saying there wasn't a tremendous amount of injustice to Johnny Depp too, which, I know his life was torn apart, and I think it's valuable that he really had the opportunity to defend himself and to speak up. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I still don't know what happened behind closed doors. I still don't know everything. And I think it would be ignorant and a little bit unjust to pretend this if I did. So I just wanted to say that first. Now, I feel pretty confident from what I, saw in the trial, some really important distinguishing features as to what her attachment style was, Amber Heard's, and I'm going to talk to you about why. I also want to say, before I tell you what I think her attachment style is, both her primary and secondary attachment style, is that this is not representative of how everybody with this attachment style will behave. Johnny Depp's forensic psychologist that he hired, Dr. Shannon Curry, diagnosed Amber Heard with both borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder after a fairly extensive analysis. And I thought her testimony was very well put together and explained. So not everybody with this attachment style will behave at all in the way that Amber Heard behaved. A lot of her extreme patterns of behavior, in my opinion, had a lot to do with her diagnosis and the fact that she's most likely borderline personality and has histrionic personality disorder. And so I think that this is, where a lot of these things come in. So what I think her attachment style is anxious preoccupied as her dominant attachment style, with a secondary fearful avoidant attachment style. Now, why do I say this? Well, the very first thing is, obviously she's leaning anxious. So obviously she either is anxious preoccupied or fearful avoidant with a strong anxious side. But the main distinguishing features that to me told the difference are, number one, the distrust and volatility that you would see with a fearful avoidant are what you're seeing with Amber, but FAs are not that extreme, right? FAs, the extreme, physical abuse that was admitted to on tape, all these different things, these really intense patterns, these are much more representative of BPD, right? Those are not something that necessarily fall into the category of fearful avoidance. Yes, you have more volatility as a general rule, but this will be like fighting, arguments, hot and cold behaviors, not in these very extreme sort of chaotic moments, nor are they aligned with anxious preoccupied either, just to be super clear. But what you're seeing in her behaviors that are very interesting is a fearful avoidant would have a lot more focus on the distrust, right? So you hear in a lot of the tapes, and of course there's a tremendous amount of stuff missing and things we don't see, but you hear is this really common theme in what was shown to the courts. You see that she is constantly accusing Johnny of splitting, constantly saying, well, you leave, you walk away, you go to a different house, you withdraw. She's constantly using the term splitting, like you're getting out of there, not splitting as we would associate with the terminology of borderline personality disorder. So you're hearing these dynamics of she's constantly trying to maintain proximity, right? She's constantly trying to, in the heated moments and the arguments, he's in the bathroom, she tries to barge into the bathroom, she's following him around the house, she's doing everything to maintain proximity. Whereas fearful avoidance, a lot of the big issues you would most likely see are suspicion, distrust. You would see if a fearful avoidant felt rejected or upset, they'd often pull away a lot of the time. Like if somebody goes off to the bathroom to get away, usually you're going to see a fearful avoidant be like, okay, fine, and pull away back, right? And deactivate really strongly themselves. Or if there's a lot of problems that are, strong patterns in the relationship and the arguments, you're likely to see the fearful avoidant have strong themes around, well, I can't trust you. You're XYZ. You're doing this too often. You're doing that. And a lot of it would be around suspicion, distrust. And there would be a lot less vulnerability as a general rule as well. You wouldn't see, I don't want you to leave. And in these extreme cases as well, when you hear on tape in a few different contexts that Johnny's trying to like go in and visit his daughter, or go and visit a family member. And she's like, no, you can't leave. Don't leave. And, there's this terrifying fear that's so clear, and it's also, very largely associated with borderline personality disorder. But that massive fear of being abandoned, of losing proximity to that primary attachment figure. And you see this becoming this overarching theme, which is very, very significant. And you see a lot less deactivating moments, right? Even in those experiences, there's not like a breaking up, a pulling away, a pushing back. And again, there may have been more of that I just didn't see in the trial or missed, or that we just didn't get the opportunity to see because those were not things that were disclosed. But there was a very evident theme that pointed towards that I found to be very interesting. So specifically, according to the vast majority of information that was displayed in the trial, I would say there's a very strong AP dominant style as the primary attachment style, because it's characterized most so by that fear of abandonment, that need for proximity, feelings of unsafety if there's some sort of disconnection happening, and this sort of fear of being alone with oneself that tends to be fairly evident in there, at least while attached to that caregiver, while in that person's proximity, not while they're separate and living in separate places or things like that. So there's this really strong and clear picture of that there. And then there's definitely an FA secondary component, because there are moments of distrust. You do see a lot of distrust specifically around like substances and things like that. But that's also fair, because it sounds like there was hiding of those things, and there was using behind closed doors and things like that. And I think a lot of the more challenging dynamics you saw in terms of how she may have shown up, and just different things that were exposed during the trial, her taking pictures when he was going through hard times, her sort of invading some of his boundaries and then trying to position things against him. That's much more indicative, in my opinion, of leaning towards like borderline personality disorder. A lot of the histrionic personality disorder components are that constant need for like attention. And again, that may make it lean as though that's her primary attachment style, but because there's that underlying theme, it seems like it's very much leaning towards anxious. You would see a fearful avoidant most so still have, with BPD and HPD, you'd see like a lot more of these dynamics where there's, potentially these huge fights, huge arguments, but they would be mostly based around, I can't trust you. I don't know when you're lying. I don't know if I believe you. I don't like these are the things that you would see coming up because that biggest core wound is most related to distrust. So I hope this was interesting. Of course, there may be things that I'm missing or that I don't know. And I just want to highlight that again. Like I'm not there to see everything. I watched like I would say 75% of the trial. So there may be parts that I just didn't hear or didn't see. But I had so many people ask about this, like so many people that I figured I would just put a video around this. And I will also do a follow-up video if you guys are interested on Johnny Depp's attachment style and how to sort of see the different characteristics that are there. And also a little bit about trauma bonding and some of the dynamics that we see in alignment with a trauma bond and what often leads us into trauma bonds. Like you see a lot about Johnny Depp's history and relationship to his mother and what essentially happens. Actually, I'll save that for a separate video, but he's conditioned to get into his subconscious mind because of the way his mother has imprinted him and conditioned him by what he was exposed to. He's primed to get attached to a trauma bond with somebody who's in that sort of similar dynamic and circumstance because that person represents a subconscious comfort zone in relationship to himself. So I'm going to talk a lot about that in a separate video. But if you have comments below or questions, please let me know. Of course, if you want to do any deep attachment style healing, reconditioning of your attachment style, then please feel free to join the Personal Development School. You can check out our different attachment style courses using the link below and check everything out for free for 7 days. So if you want to do attachment style reprogramming, reconditioning, and really heal to become securely attached and have healthy, thriving relationships, that link is there below. And you can, again, check it all out for free. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.